Hello, everybody. Max with Avon Website Pro here, and today we're going to learn about counting the nutritional value in your food, and you'll be able to save it, and you'll be able to look at it from day to day. So that's what I'm going to teach you to do today. Let me show you an example of what's going on. If we go to a1sold.com, this is an application that I created, and basically it's to track your inventory, track everything about your life. So if we go here to add and we go to add food, and so for example, let's say we wanted to get the nutritional value out of something, some food, whether it be a brand food, a whole food, or whatever, and you just need to know what's in it so you could track the nutritional value of that food. And so that's what this is. So what you'll do here is you'll enter in the name of a food, and you want to be descriptive. So maybe we'll put hard boiled eggs. And we want to get the nutritional value out of hard boiled eggs. And since we're making a grocery list, we're going to put, I buy my eggs by the dozen, sometimes an 18 pack or whatever, but we'll just put 12 hard boiled eggs. And there's about 38 grams, or we're going to call them slices. You can make this form whatever you like. You could say per egg or whatever. But it's important to note that all food with this API, this free API that I'm going to give you guys, it's all calculated by 100 grams or 3.53 ounces. Okay. So that's what you want to keep in mind here. Now, how many grams is an egg? Well, that's what you'll figure out. So let me just click add food. Let me show you what happens here. As you scroll down, you'll see the protein content, you'll see the fat content, the carbohydrates, so on and so forth, including the calories and all that other stuff. And you want to get all that information so you can track it. Here we have grams and milligrams and so on and so forth. And then it gets added to your grocery list. Okay. And then as you consume on the app here, whenever you click eat, you'll scroll down to the hard boiled egg. Let me show you what's going on here. And you'll just choose how many eat. Maybe eat two, maybe eat 3 eggs. And then you'll just choose the 38 grams, click consume, and then it gets recorded for that day. It's pretty cool, but for all intents and purposes, this particular one, we are going to go to the food edition where you're adding this food. And I'm going to show you guys how to do this. It's based upon FoodData Central. So if you look up these, we have this hard-boiled egg here. Let me just go back here. And if you type in hard-boiled eggs and you wanted to get the nutrient content, you would just click search. And then here you have the foundational foods, the legacy foods, so on and so forth. And when you have a result, you click on the result, and here you could just see all of the information. Energy is calories. It says 155 calories per 100 grams. Remember, everything here is per 100 grams, and that helps you figure out the logic in your programming, so you could figure out exactly how much you're eating. That took me a little bit, but I eventually got it. And there's 12.6 grams of protein per 100 grams. There's 10.6 grams of total lipid fats per 100 grams. So just got to keep that through your head. This is all per 100 grams. Okay, but you get the picture now. As you come down here, there's 50 milligrams per 100 grams, iron and so on and so forth. So anyway, without further ado, let's get started. Now I'm going to start up my SHAMP server right here. Look, it's already running. If you need help on, setting up a SHAMP server, or XAMP I used to call it, but I guess it's pronounced SHAMP, at a1websitepro.com, you'll be able to set that up. And you can see mine's already running here, so I'm not going to stop it. I'm going to let it go. Now I have my local host set up on site test, just like that. And if this page appears, it lets me know that the SHAMP server is indeed running, and now I'm ready to program. So in my HT docs, I'm going to come over here, make sure I created, if I go to my SHAMP server and then HT docs, I created one called nutrition. Yes, right here, and it's empty. Now I'm ready to start programming, the form and everything that I need to get the database information that I need. So I like to use Atom. Atom is a it's another program just like Notepad or Virtual Studio or whatever you choose on using. I like the older programs. I don't know why, I just do. Has focuses me. I know that I'm programming in PHP, CSS, HTML, JavaScript, and I can go ahead and do that. So I'm in the nutrition folder. If you need to, you just use whatever you use. I'm going to select new file, and the first thing I'm going to do is type in the index.php. I'm going to create that index.php file, and just to make sure that PHP is working, I'm going to echo hi there, or hello world, whatever you like. And I'm going to go ahead and save that file. I'm going to come here to site dashboard, and I'm going to type in nutrition and go to the index.php file. And here I have hi there. So now that I know that PHP is working, I could go ahead and proceed further. One of the things that I like to do, right here at the top, I like to create a header, a footer, and an error in my PHP. Like it lets me know if I have any errors. So let me show you how to do that. The next thing that I'm going to create, select new file. I'm going to type in error.php, just like so. Excuse me. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my error code in, just like so. You can get all these little code snippets on A1 Website Pro. The link will be in the description of this tutorial. So you could just copy and paste these codes. So basically in this PHP, this is where I'm initiating my errors, display startup errors, and then I want to have all errors reported so that if there's a problem, I could get to it quickly. So I'm just going to click save, and then back here in my index.php file, I'm going to take out echo hi there, and I'm going to put include underscore once and single quotes error.php. Now, the reason why I say include once is because I only want to include this file once, and I still want the script to run. So even if there's a problem with the error.php file. Now, if I wanted to wanted the script to die, I would type in require, and if there was something wrong with this file, it wouldn't execute anything else on the page. So I'm satisfied. I mean, you could use what you want, but I like include once error.php. Now, if there's a file that absolutely has to be on here in order for your application to run, you want require. And that's what we're going to do next. This new file is going to be the header.php, and I definitely want the header in there. This is going to be all my my Bootstrap stuff, my JavaScript, so on and so forth. So let me grab my header.php file, paste it in here, and then in my index, I'm going to use the require instead of includes. Okay, so here's my header.php file. I'm just going to go ahead and paste this in here. I start out declaring HTML. My language is English. This is my head tag, and this is where I'll put my head tag. My title is going to be Nutrition Counter. I'm going to set the character set to UTF-8. This viewport here is for like smaller devices like, smartphones, tablets, so on and so forth. And for the content, I am going to change this to Nutrition Counter. Just like so. Let me go back here. These link relations, we could take these out of here. This is stuff that does not have to be in here just for testing. You could use them later. Basically, what this does is it gives the little favicon, and then whenever people say add to home screen on their smartphones, they'll have your little logo favicon. So let me go ahead and take that stuff out of there. I don't care about the theme color. This is what I care about. All right, I want to preload the Bootstrap 3.3, or you could use a more modern version of Bootstrap. Here, Cloudflare, this is for Font Awesome, so I could get them cool little icons, and I'll show you guys how to use that. I'm using version 6.5.2, and I'll show you guys how to use it. Here I'm preloading the style.css, okay? And I'm echoing out time here. And the reason why I do that whenever I'm programming is because browsers cache, you have server cache, ISP cache, the caching is just crazy. So what I like to do is have it so it dynamically pulls in the style sheet, the style.css, but it changes every time because it's just a nightmare whenever you're working on a style sheet, that changes. And with that in mind, we actually have to have a style.css, which we don't have. So I'm going to copy that, and under nutrition, I'm going to have a new file, call it style.css, just have it here for later, okay? So these are my scripts. This is for my jQuery, my jQuery UI on order list min, and then here's my Bootstrap JavaScript. So CSS is always on the top, JavaScript is always on the bottom. You could actually include these in your footer if you want to, but I'm just going to, for this demonstration, I'm going to leave it in the header. I'm going to hit save. Now, the next thing that I want to do is come over here to my index, and instead of include once, I'm going to duplicate this, and this right here I'm going to have require, and then this is going to be my header, and then I just want this on top just in case I use session variables in my header later. I'll have it up there. So I'm just going to hit save. So I have my header script, I got my error script. Now what do I need next? I need my footer script, right? So right down here I'm going to create another PHP tag, and this is going to be required once, and footer.php, just like so. And you notice I don't have footer in the application yet, so I'm just going to go ahead and save this. Now notice my error. So let's go ahead and load it up. I'll show you. I don't have the footer over here. So if I come over here and I hit refresh, you notice require once footer. There's no such file as footer. So that's nice whenever you have the error script letting you know what the heck's going on, right? So let's go ahead and create a footer.php script. All right, and basically what we want to do is close out the body here and close out the HTML. Just like so. Save that. Let's bring it up. See if we get rid of that error, and the error's gone. All right, now it's time to make our form, because you notice here, this little form, we need this little form in order for our API to work. So let's go ahead and get that posted in here in the index.php. Here's the other thing that I like to do, because that starts looking a little messy. I like to separate my PHP tags. You can open and close these PHP tags as much as you want. I love PHP, programming in PHP. Now my form is going to be in here, so I'm just going to go ahead and save this. Let's get that form. All right, let's get that form pasted right in there, and we'll go over it here. So let's talk about this form a little bit. Here we got form. The action is set to nothing. All right, so you don't really need that, because we're going to post this form to itself. We're not going to use Ajax. We're not going to post a form to another PHP page. We're just going to post it on the same page, okay? And that gives us our method of post. And the difference between the other one is get. So on get, you see in the URL string, you see all your query parameters, but we're not going to share the query parameters. We're only going to use post, so that means that it's going to be invisible. The very first thing that we see here after our form tag is the div class of form group large. What is that? That is a Bootstrap class that, that styles the form. And the next thing, this is the opening div for it. Here's the closing div for it. And inside there, we're going to put a label. And the label is going to be for the food. And we're going to tell people, hey, enter your food item and be descriptive, because we have to be descriptive. We don't just put eggs, we put hard-boiled eggs or over easy eggs or, scrambled eggs. The next thing we want is the input type of text, so people can type the name of the food. The ID is food, But since we're using a, we're submitting the form to the same page, we actually don't need an ID here, but I always like to put them in there just in case I want to change my mind later, if I want to use Ajax or whatever. The more important thing is food, the name of food, and this is basically what we're going to be using to get the value of this import whenever we process the information. The class is form control. This is another Bootstrap class that styles the input where the people are typing into, whether it be on a smartphone, tablet, or computer. The next thing here is, this is called a placeholder. So instead of value, we say placeholder. And here we're just giving them an idea. Put in red delicious apples instead of just apples. Put in hard-boiled eggs instead of eggs. So we just want them to be descriptive, and we want that field to be required. All right, because the API that we're going to use is not going to work unless you have a descriptive, a good description of the food. So let's go here. I'm going to push those in just a little bit. The next input field, notice same thing, form group large, open div, closing div down here. The label is how many. So how many of this? You can have 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons, 1 cup, 2 cups, so on and so forth. So that's the amount. So enter how many. And the input type for this is going to be number. All right. We don't want them to be able to put it in text, like type out 1 or type out 2. We want it to be a number. And so that's why we're using the input type of number. The ID is amount. And once again, this is not so important with this particular tutorial, but we're going to leave it in there. The name is the most important. So let me just go ahead and put this here. So the name amount, that's what we're going to use in the post variables. And I'll show you that, guys, in a minute. The class is form control, and it is also required so we can process how many to put in our grocery list, okay? The next form field group, notice the same thing. It starts out with form group large, and here is the closing div, but we are giving them a measurement, okay? Or a select item. So the label for this is measure, choose measurement scale. And the select ID is measure. Once again, not that important in this particular application, but this one, name measure, because that's what we're going to use in the post to process the form fields. The class is form control. We're also going to make this required. Okay. Now, here's our options. We have choose. And the reason why we have this set to a value of nothing is because this is required. We want them to choose. Is it a cup? Is it a half cup? A gallon? A liter? A slice? So on and so forth. Because all of these, remember that we are using the measurement of 100 grams. All right? 100 grams, because that's the way the API works. So you have to work your logic. And so what I did is I figured out how many grams were in a cup. There's 240 grams in a cup. There's 120 grams in a half cup. And I made all these like this. There's 3,899 grams in a gallon. So that's why these are the options. So I could figure out the logic a lot easier. Okay. Took me a minute, but I got it. So, but anyway, you just basically look up on Google, there's a few other things that I need here. I forget what my son was telling me the other day, saying, "Hey, Dad, we need to put on what was it? It was a different kind of measurement, but it's a very common one. So sometimes when you're programming, you're like, so go to Google and you type in, okay, what are the most common different measurements? So we had ounces, and so we added ounce. So here's an ounce or ounces, because if they choose 2, it could be plural. If they choose 1, it could be singular. Okay. So, and there's 28.35 grams in an ounce. So that's why we have 20.35 there. So we can figure that all out. So right here at the bottom, we have a submit button. Okay. It's type is submit. This is another Bootstrap class. Success makes this button turn green, and then you can click add food. And this is our closing form tag. And then, of course, we have our footer at the bottom. So let's go ahead and save this. Let's go back to our nutrition counter. We'll go ahead and refresh this page. And here we go. Here's our form. Okay. Maybe we want to add an H1 tag to give it some separation at the top. So let's go ahead and put in an H1 tag here. Enter food to calculate nutrition. Just like that. Save that. Check it out. See what it looks like. Voila. All right. So now we don't have anything to process this information, but we definitely have the form. So if I wanted, hard-boiled eggs, and I want 12 of them, and they're 38 grams a piece, medium eggs are. Anyway, click Add Food, and notice nothing happens. That's because we have to make sure. Oh, let me show you the difference between post and get while we're at it. So if I will put get here, this is just a good place for me to show you this. If I would put get here, you'll notice whenever we submitted this last form, there's nothing in the query parameters up here. But let's go ahead and refresh this page. We'll do the same thing. Hard-boiled eggs, just like that. Maybe we want 12 of them, 38 grams an egg. Click Add Food. Notice now we have the query parameters in the top. So I got tutorials on that. You could use post or get. I like to use post for this particular one because we don't need to have all that information. If you don't need to have it out there, don't. Okay? So here we are. Let's put this back to post. Now we're going to come up here, and let's go ahead and go underneath here. And this is where we will start processing our information. So we need another PHP tag here. And we want to say if is set, and then the post variables. And inside here, we want to see if somebody clicked this button down here. All right, so we could actually put, name this button, name equals submit. So if it's submitted, right, now we want to do something with it. So we need our curly brackets. And this is where we'll go ahead and start getting the name, right? So if I come in here and I grab this thing here and I set a variable of name equals, I copy and paste just to save time. So name, so here's the name of food, okay? We'll call this food, not name. Name is the attribute that I'm getting. And so let's just go ahead and echo food right here. So I'm checking to see if that button was clicked. If it was, I want to get that post value of food, and whatever that food is, I want to echo it out. And you know what? Let's echo it out in a paragraph tag. I'm concatenating here because I'm attaching HTML to it. So there we go. Let's go ahead and, I'm just going to hit refresh. Oh, ain't going to work with refresh. Hold on. Apples. 1,000 half cups. Notice here, I get apples at the top. Okay? So now I'm starting to get the information that I need to process. So let me go ahead and get the other information that I need. I not only need food, I need the amount under name, the amount. And then I need the measurement, measure, we called it. So now here we could put echo. This is going to be the food. What? Let me go ahead and copy and paste this a couple times. So that's the food. Let's put amount first. Amount. And then we'll put a semicolon here, or a colon rather. And then the measure. The measure type. All right, so let's go ahead and save this. And let's go ahead and go back to our Chrome browser, refresh this page, and maybe we're going to do hard-boiled eggs again. How many? 12, and then 38 grams. Slices. There we go. Hard-boiled eggs. Oh, the food is, the amount, we messed up there. Here's the food. Hard-boiled eggs, the amount. Gee, let's see what's going on here. The name would be amount. I got something going wrong here, and I don't know what it is at the moment. Oh, okay, here we go. I need to put amount where amount is. So here we have amount, food, and measure. Let me go ahead and save it. Go ahead and refresh. And this time we'll use tomatoes. How many? 12, 50 grams. There we go. Amount. So now we're ready to take that information and process it through an API. Now, the one thing that you're going to need is an API key. Now, at this FoodData Central, good news. It's a free API. All you have to do is give them your email. So let me show you how to do that real quick. So I'm going to have a URL in the description of this video, and also A1 Website Pro. And this is the URL. You want to go to fdc.nal.usda.gov, APA key sign up right there, and basically just fill up this information and click sign up, go through the process. They're going to send you an API key. All right. For security measures, I'm not going to show you my API in this video. I'm sure it doesn't matter, but I'm using it in my application. But it's free, so go ahead and get your own. Don't use mine. All right, so let's go on, and we're going to start processing the information now using our API. And I'm going to put the API key in a different file real quick, and then I'm just going to echo it into the thing. So, in fact, I think I'll just put it in a function. So I'll show you up to the point where I put the key in, and then it's going to be top secret after that. Okay, so I'm going to create a new file here. Functions.php, and in here I'm going to create a function. So let me go ahead and start out with my PHP, and this is going to hold my API key, so people can't be abusing my API key. Function API key, and yeah, so I'm going to return, and then right here is going to be my API key. All right. So that's how I'm going to do it for this tutorial. Nice, simple, sweet. But the thing is, now I have to include the functions in my header.php file. So I'm going to go to header, and let's go ahead and I'll include my functions here. Question mark, PHP, include. Actually, maybe I should require that, eh? Because going to be needed for the application to work. So require once. Oh, let me see here. Let's go inside here. Functions.php. Okay, there we go. Now I got my functions. Now I can use that function for my API key. And let me show you how this is. Let me go ahead and save this. And let me go to my index, and I'm right here underneath my H1 tag. Maybe I'll make an H2 tag. And then inside here, I'll put my PHP echo API key. And that should say, what did I put here? It should say my API key. That's what it should say. So if I did everything right, it should say my API key there. Oh, I have a syntax error on line 3. Oh, let's go ahead. Return my API. What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? Oh, API key equals my API key. And then right here, I need to just return it in a variable API key. Just like that. Now let's see. Unexpected identifier, API key. Okay, maybe I'm naming that wrong. API key. Let me go to index. I'm such a ditz. FUNCTION. API key. All right. Well, I graduated first grade, so I don't know how to spell that well. All right, there we go. My API key. So that's what I'm going to use in the application. So whenever we're doing stuff in here, I'm going to go ahead and put my top secret API key in. And I better make it so that it's not echoing out my API key. Otherwise, you guys are going to see it. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and put my API key into functions, and then we'll go from there. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this stuff out. We're going to put in the processing of the information. Now, it's a lot, but don't worry, we'll work through it here. Just got to make sure that I got my curly bracket set right. One thing I like about this program is it underlines that curly bracket. And what I'm looking for is it up there at the post where it starts, submits the button. I want it to see it underlined too. Then that way I make sure, right, when I go right here, I want to make sure that this is the start of it. And then, we got the end of it down below. Otherwise, it's not going to process this information correctly. Another thing that I want to show you guys is this is definitely not the way to grab your post variables. I only did it because it's a short and sweet way. Let me show you the correct way. All right, let me paste this in here. And this is so you can kind of sanitize it, especially whenever you're going to insert this stuff into a database, right? You have SQL injections, stuff like that. I'm just going to use HTML special characters. You can use prepare, statements and so on and so forth. But for this tutorial, this is what I'm going to use. Okay. Now there's a lot of different other ways. The best way is prepared statements. And I have tutorials for that on A1websitepro.com. Anyway, let's talk about what's going on here. So just like before, we're grabbing the food, we're grabbing the amount, and we're grabbing the measurement. Okay. Here I take the measure times the amount and I get the total. This is just so I could create a grocery list in the database, and later on go shopping and be able to mark them off. Okay. Now, here is where the API comes in. The API URL that you're going to use is this right here. And this is to search their database, and then it's going to return a JSON script for you. My API key I have in my functions file, top secret. So that's why I use this little function here to grab my API key. Now notice the data. We start an array with the food. That's going to be the query that's going to query this search right here. Page size is 1. And then, of course, my API key, which is right here. Right here, we start using curl. We use the API URL, which is right here, and the function HTTP build query, where we use the data. And this is the data we have, which is our query, our page size. Notice we're not even using the amount here. We're not even using the amount or the measure. We're just querying the food in this data, all right? Because we just want to go get the food. Here we have curl init API URL. Okay, so we're going to set our curl options, return transfer to true, which is the ch variable that we're getting right here. Now, curl execute. This is where we're going to put our response. And then we're going to close our curl, which is going out to there using our API key, returning that information. And we're going to close that connection and then grab the response. And it's all JSON, so we need to decode that information so PHP can use it. And that indeed is going to be our result. Okay. And now that we got that response, what we want to do is see if everything is set. So here we go. If is set results food, and the first parameter, we want to get the food nutrients. Okay. And so here what we do is I set all these to null because of the fact that I insert them into a database. And I'm going to show you guys how to do that too. Here we start our for each loop. Let me go ahead and back that up just a little bit there. We take the results, whatever the food nutrients are, and we're going to store them in the values of those nutrients per 100 grams, the nutrient value in there. And so that's stored in the variable of value, and we start our switch statement. Okay. Now this switch statement is going to go ahead and get these different, see, I have potassium, I have magnesium, so on and so forth. I have all these different things that I'm getting. Now, you can get more. That's up to you. So you could just get one. You could just get energy is calories, by the way, right here. So if you didn't want to get anything more than just calories, you could take just this right here and forget the rest. But I thought about, I wanted to get more. So I'm interested in like potassium and all that other stuff for intake. Notice it's measured in milligrams. So this is giving you the value. Okay, per 100 grams, there is this many milligrams of potassium in this food. Okay, so that's important. So even though this measurement's in milligrams, it's per 100 grams. Okay. And then right here, I just have, you're echoing out the food value. And we just go down through this switch statement of all the nutrients that we want to grab. So this one's potassium. This one's magnesium. This one's the water content. This is the calories or energy. This is the protein. This is the total lipid fat. This is the carbohydrates. This is the fiber. Okay. I have the sugars, the cholesterol, the sodium, the vitamin C, calcium, iron, so on and so forth. And if you go back to the FoodData Central and you go look through all these things, this is all what's available. I mean, there's a lot more than what I am bringing into this. I mean, riboflavin, niacin, stuff like that. I might go back and get more, depending on what my users say, what they want to track and stuff like that. But yeah, you could get as much information as you need. Now, the other thing that I noticed is that there's always a slight variation. Like this person says a hard-boiled egg has this many calories, but if you look it up somewhere else, you might go up to, 20, 30, 40 calories difference. And that's kind of strange, but it does happen. So I had to pick a scale and go with it. And so that's why I figured I would use the government's free API. It's not going to cost me anything if it's a little bit wrong, but at least I get an idea of how many calories and nutrients that I'm consuming every day. All right, so well, let's test this thing. Let's make sure, see if it's going to work. Let's go back to the nutrient center. And right here, I have an unclosed curly bracket on line 161. So let's go ahead, go down to line 161. I'm kind of going to try to guess that it has something here that's not closed. Yeah, there we go. I needed another curly bracket there. Let me hit save. Let me go back to nutrient. There we go. So let's go ahead. I don't know. What do you want to pick? Let me think. Let me think of something cool. Hey, I just thought of something real cool. Coffee. I drink coffee. I just drunk another cup of coffee. And let me show you what I'm going to do here. Whenever I go to eat here, I need to scroll down to my Folgers coffee. I also like McCandless coffee. That's really good stuff. But Folgers coffee, you can see I got 0 calories per 100 grams. And I'm going to drink 1 cup of that. Consume. There we go. So now I have that. And I like heavy whipping cream in my coffee, about a tablespoon. I'm going to choose 1 tablespoon. Consume. So here we go. Let's go ahead and type in Folgers coffee. There we go. And I don't know. I buy mine. This is the grocery list. So you're not going to say 1 cup. I think there's like 2 liters in it. We'll just put 2 liters. It's a liter is 1,000 grams. Let me click add food. Oh, there we go. There's a protein content, fat content. There's like 0 in coffee. So here we're getting the response back from the API, your free key, and you could take this information and insert it into a database. So let me show you how to do that. It's pretty cool. Then that way you could track what you're doing every day. Okay, so let me show you. So we're going to have a connection to the database, number one. So let's go ahead and get that done. So we're going to go here to nutrition, right click, select new file. And I always like to call it config or key or db connect or whatever. So we're just going to go config.php. Now let's put in the information to connect to our database. So let's paste that in there right here. So here, I always like to set the time zone in the database. So my time zone is American New York. And that way, when it inserts into the database, I have my time. So that's Eastern time zone. So here's the database connection. It's going to be localhost. The username for my localhost is going to be root. I don't have a password set up because it's only on my local computer. And let's create a database called nutrition. All right. And then, so now I got to go create that database. So let me show you how to do that. We'll go ahead and save this config file. And let's go back to our PHP myadmin, and that is in site test right here. Excuse me. And we want to create a new database, and I'm just going to call it nutrition, create, and here's our database. Now we got to create the tables within the database. I'm going to show you something. If you want to do what I do, I'm going to give you this script, and it'll make your database creation a lot easier. Okay, so here you go. Let me show you what I'm going to do. I'll go ahead and put this as a file here. We'll call this data.sql. And I'm going to paste this in here. And basically, we're going to create a table called food plan. And we're going to have the ID, the user. I guess the user wouldn't be that important for you guys because if you're just going to do this personally, we could take that out. Here we're going to have the name of the food, the measurement, the amount, the total, the calories, blah, blah, blah. And all the things that we're going to have that we're going to track, for our personal application here. So I'm going to go ahead and save this because I'm going to zip all this stuff and have it available for you guys just to download and play with. Let me go ahead right here in my nutrition database. I'm going to go to the SQL, and this is where I'm going to create the tables. I'm just going to select, paste it in there, and then I'm just going to select go. And now I have my food plan with all of my rows ready to rock and roll in there. All right, so let's go back to the data here in the index.php. And here, now that I got all this information, you notice right here at the top, I told you guys I was going to explain this to you. This is what I wanted to make sure I set all these to null before I start inserting them into the database because this is all the information. that I need in there in that order: calories, protein, fat, blah, blah, blah. And so right down here, you can see I have my calories. These are in no certain order, but in order for them to insert an order into the database, that's why I started out setting them all at null. And now down here, I'm going to insert them into the database. And this is how we do it. Okay, so right after this curly bracket right here, I want to insert into the database. All right, now here we go. Now I don't need the user. I took that out. We're going to start with name. All right, so the user was an integer that I'm using, and we don't need that on this particular application. All right, so notice the order now. We have food, amount, measure, total. And if we look at our database, let's look at our database. We have, oh, let me go ahead, go to food plan. We're going to take out name there. Let me drop name. We don't need it. Oh, I meant cancel. Cancel. The name is the food, and there's the measurement. So we do need that because I took out user. So name, measurement, amount, total, and then whenever we look at this, we have food is name. We need to switch measure and amount. So let's put measure right here. Food measure. Now amount is an integer, so we want that to be I. The measurement is, we're going to just save that as a string. So that S is a string, an I is an integer, a D is a decimal or a float. Okay, so you could have whatever. You can also use strings for floats. So that's why I put all these as strings, make it easier on yourself. But these could actually be decimals because, if they come back as decimals, you'll be able to put them in there. But I just left them as strings. In fact, this decimal here, this could be a string as well, as long as it's not established as a decimal in the in MySQL. And here, if the statement executes, we're going to say it's successful. If it's not, it's going to be an error. Now, the one thing that I need to include on the index.php is the config file that we created right here. Otherwise, this is not going to work. So let's go ahead and go to the header, and we'll just include the config file right here. Well, actually, you know what? Let's include it in the functions file. Since since the functions is already in the header, we could go ahead and actually, no. Let me just duplicate this. I forgot my API top secret keys there. So I just have this in the header, so that's going to establish my connection to the database. The index.php, let's go ahead and save it. And right here, insert into food plan, name, blah, blah, blah. What you got to make sure is that the numbers are all matching. So you have to have the numbers, the values, and you have to have this all set up. So this has to be exact with however you have going on there. So let's just go ahead, save. This has to be exact with each variable that you have and each name that you have, okay? Let me go ahead, and sometimes I ramble, and I apologize. But now let's go ahead. We have a unclosed curly bracket. I think it's whenever I pasted this in, I have another curly bracket that I have to take into consideration. Let me go ahead here. I believe we got to take out a curly bracket. Yeah. All right. And notice here I get connection successful. That's in my config file. So if I come here and I go to my config file, I don't need that anymore. So let me just, we could just take this out. I don't need to see connection successful there. So let's add, I don't know, red apples. And let's get 12 of them. 50 grams apiece, add food. All right, now we get an error. Call to member function bind parameter and bool and nutrition, so something's not there. 124 on index line 124. Let's go investigate what this line 124 is down here. 124. So here we go with these variables. So I have to, let me go ahead and put this over so we can look at this a little bit better. I believe what happened was I took out user, okay, and I needed to take out one of these placeholder question marks. This is a prepared statement. This is a secure way to insert into your database. But you have to make sure that all these things are matched up. You know, you can't have 11 question marks and 10 entries. So that's exactly what happened here. So let me go ahead and come back here. We'll restart the script. Red apples. How many? 12. 50 grams a piece. Click add food. There we go. Record inserted successfully. So let's go check this record out. So if we click on food plan, here we have the name, which is red apples, the measurement 12, the amount is 50, total 600. Calories, you have 50 calories per 100 grams, 0 protein per 100 grams, 13.6 carbohydrates per 100 grams. And now you're starting to get the idea. So you use that API, you create the form, boom. You can keep track of what it is. Now, the easiest way is if you actually wanted to put this into practice or even check out a script that's doing it, you could go to a1sold.com, just sign up for a free account. It's all free to do this, and you'll be able to go from there. But I will put this script at A1 Website Pro for a download, and you guys will be able to do what you want to with it and have it so you can create your own application. This is Max with A1 Website Pro. Give this video a like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.